Hello there and welcome to another interesting episode of the interview. Today I'm so delighted to have Dr. John Danfulani. I'll be introducing him shortly, but before then, as I always do, I encourage you to share this video, to comment, to like it, so that we'll have a very wonderful, conversation. If you know who Dr. Danfulani is, I bet you that this is going to be mind-boggling. This is going to be a very, very interesting conversation. So go ahead and share this video. And as I always do, I also encourage you to ask questions so that if I see your questions, I will direct them to the prof, as he is formally called. So once again, thank you so much for joining this program, the interview for today. Just give me 1 or 2 minutes as I try to do some housekeeping things here. And after that, I will introduce my guest and we'll kickstart this wonderful conversation. Okay. All right. Okay, so I want to introduce my guest straight away, even as we start this conversation. Dr. John Danfulani is an academician. He is a lawyer. He is an administrator and a human rights activist and a sociopolitical critic. Having received his BSc, MSc, and PhD in international relations, Dr. Danfulani became a lecturer in the Department of Political Science at the Kaduna State University before his subsequent resignation based on government unfavorable practices. In 2016, Dr. Danfulani was arraigned by the Kaduna State government and subsequently imprisoned for criticizing the government. Dr. Danfulani is the coordinator of the Centrum Initiative for Development and Fundamental Rights Advocacy. My guest today, Dr. Danfulani, he has he was a local government counselor, special and senior special assistant to 3 governors in Kaduna State. He has also received training in election management and peacekeeping. He has attended local and internal conferences in Europe, Asia, and America, and he has published scholarly articles in local and international journals. In addition to his academic work, he has the special interest in promotion of good governance, expansion of democratic space, and human rights advocacy. His hobbies include reading, traveling, and watching sports. I'm so delighted to have you join the program today, Dr. Danfulani.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much for making time to be part of the interview today. So I want to start us off by talking about human rights and activism. Over the years, you have been very vocal in addressing issues of human rights violations and injustices in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. You have done this through scholarly writings and through the social media. But this got you into trouble with the government. In 2016, you were reprimanded and subsequently imprisoned for a couple of days for criticizing the government. Can you kindly refresh our memory about this ordeal?
Well, good evening, Mr. Kajang, and good evening, our esteemed viewers. It's my pleasure to be on, and it's a great honor done to me. As you heard during the introduction, I'm a human rights activist. I was a local lawmaker. I was an aide to 3 different governors and a teacher. On issues of human rights in Nigeria and Africa as a whole, it has always been a contentious issue. Powers that be, who took government and took an oath to discharge their duties in tandem with the provisions of the Constitution, in which a whole section was devoted to human rights. And at the same time, Nigeria has been part of the UN Charter on Human Rights and African People's Charter on Rights and West African Equal Charter on People's Rights, which some of these international, all of these international protocols were also signed and domesticated at home. We've been having, whether military or civilian governments, they have been having difficulties to be faithful to these articles that give people their natural and at the same time social rights. Well, since the assumption of this democracy in 1999, the Fourth Republic, as some call it, we've been witnessing a lot of human rights abuses. The aspect of human rights has not been particularly good. All the governments, not even the present government of General Muhammadu Buhari, have been, they have recorded gross human rights violations. If you remember very well, during Obasanjo's time, OD and Zakibiam were raised down by the military. If you come through the Yaradua's time, there were a lot of human rights violations as regards some other groups. During the Jonathan's regime, the same thing. So it's a recurring matter. We profess to be practicing democracy, but leaders have been contrasting rights. The space of rights has been contrasting up to the extent that people no longer have a voice. In 2016 years, I was accused of making a Facebook, what they call social media update, that was capable of creating crisis. I was far away India. I had to rush back home, and I was on arrival. I reported. I was jailed. Came out. I won my case at the magistrate court level. After a few months, the government again took the same charges to the state high court. I was arraigned there again. I went to prison again for days before coming out. And now I'm still in court. So there's a limit to which I can comment on the issue. Up to now, I'm still standing trial for an attempt, quote unquote, to incite some something trial. As I speak to you, in the next 3 days, I have a date in court. But generally, human rights in Nigeria and Africa in general, it's something to worry about. Leaders don't care. Leaders are not ready to really give people what we call natural right, let alone social rights. So it's unfortunate. And we've reached a situation whereby people, the right to assembly, for example, you no longer have the power to assemble. The right to dissent, the right to life, the right to personal safety, the right to own property. You've seen how demolitions going on all over in so many states without a due process being followed. So you see, right to property, which is a fundamental right, is no longer there. Right to faith, right to so many things have been challenged. You have no right to think as you want. You have no right to practice what you believe in. Even right to religion. In some climes in Nigeria, things you can't just do some certain things. But we claim that we're a country under a federal constitution, but because of autocratic tendencies, some states decided to make laws that are they are not only in contravention of the federal laws, they are in collusion course with international protocols on human rights. So human rights in Nigeria and Africa as a whole, it's not encouraging. Take a look at what happened recently in Uganda, where an incumbent government cannot even allow opposition the right to campaign freely without harassment. Up till now, you contested with somebody, you have been declared winner, but he has been quarantined, no coming in, no going out. And I read as an hour ago, he tweeted that his essentials at home have been exhausted. That is the situation all over. Is it Mali? Is it Senegal? Is it Egypt? Is it areas that conducted what you call the Arab Spring? They merely replace dictators with others. Is it Zimbabwe? The people danced that the Robert Mugabe went. Now they are telling us that the present government is even more vicious than Mugabe himself. So totally across Africa is a sorry stage, and it's quite unfortunate.
And talking about, the issue of human rights in Nigeria specifically, do we have these rights on paper? Can we say that we have the rights written, inscripturated on paper, but when it comes to practice, that is where we are found wanting?
Yes, these rights, as I told you in my opening statement, they are not only in Nigerian constitution, but there are other international protocols. The Geneva Convention on People's Rights, the AU, African Union, they also have a package on human rights. ECOWAS, a sub-regional organization, also have a package on human rights. And Nigeria as a country practicing democracy, domesticated all these rights, incorporated them to our laws. The problem is that we have got leaders who are not ready to be faithful to those provisions of our constitution and international protocols that give people fundamental human rights. It's a problem of leadership. They don't want to listen to dissent. And a democracy without a space for voices of dissent, without a space or without a situation whereby people can freely disagree with government policies, freely agree with government policies, freely protest against government policies, freely assemble to express dissatisfaction about some certain actions or inactions of government. It's not democracy. We are only a democracy in paper, but in actual practice, there is no democracy. Because in a democracy whereby people cannot hold government accountable, government acts as if it cannot be checked. And a system whereby people have no right to enjoy, to withdraw from a pool of rights which are unlimited, then there's a problem. You can't, if citizens cannot dip into a pool of rights because they are afraid of sharks inside the pool, then you know that that pool is not a pool of right. That's what we're having. Their account of rights is not red, it's evergreen, it's inexhaustible. But they have contrasted the space, democratic space, to the extent that nobody now has the right to protest. Example, during the New Year, last hours of last year, a group of people in Abuja assembled peacefully. They were peacefully protesting for whatsoever they want. It was peaceful. They have been arrested. Up till now, they are in prison. There is a difference between protest and riots and insurgency. But it seems to have a situation whereby government is comfortable discussing with armed bandits, kidnappers, insurgents, than discussing with citizens who are merely enjoying their rights to disagree or expressing their frustration over some certain policies. What is wrong if I come out as a Nigerian to protest against hike in power supply? What is wrong if there's hike in petrol? What is wrong if I feel it infringes on my rights? It will not allow me enjoy the life as fullest. It will lead to increase in prices of other commodities because oil is central, fuel is central. So what is wrong if I come out peacefully and stage a protest? Or if I issue a press statement? Or if I chat with you the way I'm chatting with you now? But those are issues now that people no longer protest. Protest, because protest is akin to insurgency. Protest is akin to rioting. Protest is akin to arsonism. It has been, we have been labeled that we've seen government pronouncements on protests. They call them anarchists, jobless people, and all whatnot. So now, yes, we are a democracy in paper, but in practice, we are far off. We are anything but a democracy. It's an autocracy. But we have a problem. People in the country, they have been so impoverished. They are so uneducated. They are so unenlightened, uninformed. They are so gullible to the extent they don't know that no matter against all odds, they should not turn tail run. they should march on, and they should not coil back because of fear of repression. Once you accept the fact that you can no longer protest, because if you protest, you'll be bruised, it's over. You've been conquered. Then leadership will do as it wants. And that is unfortunate. And Nigerians must be able to rise up and assert their authority as sovereign, because leaders are our servants, engaged to serve us. I've never seen where a servant will now turn to be a master, take over the house, and dictate the pace and set the rules for the house. I've never seen where it is done like that. We are then something else. This is sadism or a totalitarian setting, but not a democracy. You can only be talking of democracy when you are engaged in an intellectual discourse. That's all. But in practice, there is nothing democratic on ground to show. Unfortunately, it's a hard nut to crack, telling the whole world that this is how the situation is at home. The moment you make a complaint either to US, some of the supernatural or international non-governmental organizations that ought to come at ICC, International Human Rights Commission, African Commission on People's Rights, West African Court, to table a case there. One, is beyond your reach. Two, it's expensive even locally. Three, they seem to believe government functionaries who are ambassadors to most of these international organizations than the voices of people on ground. If I write a letter now to United Nations Human Rights Commission, it's possible they have a recourse to our permanent representative in New York, and he will give them the government version. You understand? And they will take the government version. Two, it's difficult documenting some of these human rights abuses. It's extremely difficult. The template that you will use to be able to convince ICC that there's indeed a gross human rights violation, it's not easy. But I can assure you, there are more than 12 or 13 gross human rights violations that by now many people should have been in Hague, along with Charles Taylor and the rest there, to answer questions on human rights, like the crushing of OD and Zaki Biam during Yar'Adua's time, during Obasanjo's time. It's a gross human rights violation. 2 villages were totally wiped out. Like, example, the crushing of the Shias during during Jonathan's time. It was one. Like the crushing of IPOP members when on the 20th January 2016, when Donald Trump was sworn in, they assembled in Port Harcourt to show their solidarity to President Trump. They were crushed. I can go on and on, not to talk of the recent fracas or the recent crushing of the Shias in 2015 December, in which they have been protesting day in, day out. And you know, the ICC said indeed they saw elements of human rights violation. What is stopping them from coming in? When are they coming in? But there's one thing, don't forget, I don't blame them. ICC, which is supposed to be the most effective check to African dictators, is a threat of African leaders. At the point, African leaders, when the time led Dr. General Robert Mugabe was a leader, he led the protest. Said, since establishment of the they call it Rome Protocol, only African leaders have been appearing in ICC. The only case or cases that you can cite outside Africa are those of Slobodan Milosevic and Radovan Karadzic of former Serbia. Apart from that, it's like the code was established just to try African people. So at the end of the day, ICC was afraid. ICC drew back because they threatened to withdraw, and some even countries in Africa withdrew. So that has really poured cold water on the spine of ICC. So now local courts are very difficult. They are comprados. Local courts have been captured by the executive branch. they ought to be the last hope of the common man. They have been captured. Getting justice is so difficult. You can spend 5 years trying to push a case on human. Sometimes when you win a case, and a compensation is awarded to you, you cannot even get it. The government will refuse to pay. You've seen instances whereby a court was invaded on session while sitting by the men of the Secret Service. So they don't respect it. So the courts are not even, they ought to be a check. They are a toothless bulldog. National Assembly, they have committees on human rights. They too, they have been pocketed. I'm sure you've read in so many places, they call them audio assembly. They are not there. They are another arm. Another arm is the Nigeria Human Rights Commission. It's at the rank of a federal high court. They too, they sit, they investigate and prosecute. They are not there. People have been shot and arrested even at their gate in Abuja. So it's just a whole mess all over. So certainly the issue of human rights in Africa is a sorry case. It's just there in books, but no African is enjoying human rights to its fullest.
In a recent post on Facebook, you expressed your disappointment that the people you thought you were fighting for told you in 2018 that they did not send you. You therefore stated your resolve to fold your hands and become uninvolved in such a struggle for the masses. Could you kindly describe what gave you so much pain to make such a resolve?
Yes. I spoke specifically on the political behavior of Southern Kaduna, where I'm from. Over these years, it is crystal clear that because of the skewed political structures in the state, it will be difficult. It's easier pushing a camel through the eye of a needle than us capturing Sakashim Ibrahim House, like say consciously producing a government in Kaduna State. Now, some of us realize that what is the next alternative? We can't pull away from a democratic process. The next alternative is to produce or make, through democratic process, credible, sensitive, and productive representatives in Kaduna and in Abuja. Then, to run away from this accusation that most of us are only book long, we are only an analyst, we should get into the fray to sell our ideas and provide that credible, sensitive, and productive leadership to our people, because that is the only hope. For example, a whole Southern Kaduna people that are almost 4 million or more, no matter what, they have only one senator. They have less than or just 5 House of Representatives members. So we said down that if you have only one senator, you must send your first 11. If you have only 5 reps, you must send your best. In the Green Chamber, you have professors, you have tycoons, you have this and that. In the Red Chamber, you have almost 20% of them former governors. You have former ministers. You have former this, former that. So those people are first class or heavyweight, or what you can say, first 11. So therefore, you can't send just any other person there. What I describe as thick lips. So we said, okay, we sent ourselves. We went. I went in Kachia. Vincent the Bodams went in Kaura. Luka Bidner went in Zongon Kataf. Danjuma Serki went in another Zongon Kataf. Said Baku went there. Lahiri went there. And virtually every boy that has gone to jail or has been discriminated, his business has crippled down, or has left his job because of Southern Kaduna people, were all rejected by the same poor people that, because of fighting for them, we lost all we had. Therefore, We kept on pushing. We said, okay, if it's the mentality of one party, something, some provided an alternative in other parties. Still, they stuck to their PDP, one party, whether that guy is spineless, is politically dumb, they stuck to it and sent the same people to Abuja. People that if there's an attack, you will not see them locally or internationally talking or telling the world about the collective threat we're facing. People that up till now, they have not been able to correlate or support any group to correlate the killings that we believe there is genocidal in Southern Kaduna for all these years, compile it in tandem with the template I told you of ICC template, and fly consciously as a leader or leaders or representative of Southern Kaduna to Hague to deposit these claims. They don't. Neither have they attracted any federal presence. They still renewed their mandate. So if I am not fit to represent you, to have a credible and legitimate voice, if I'm not fit to represent you, I'm not also fit to talk for you. You can't eat your cake and have it. You can't send people to Abuja or Kaduna that there are few things involved in a representative. There are privileges and there are responsibilities. They kept on renewing mandates of people that only enjoy privileges of their offices and forsaking 100% responsibilities of those offices. They like it. Is there any sign that they are not satisfied? No. They like a certain whereby at the third year, when there is 1 year left of any mandate, they want them to begin to come back home, sharing motorbike, 20, sharing water pumps, sharing sewing machines, to a microscopic few. That is all. It's enough to get them new mandates. So if it's that what they like, why should I go to prison because of them? Why should I continue? My international passport has been with the code for the past 5 years. I have been going to court every month for the past 5 years. I ought, as I'm speaking to you, I ought to be an associate professor of political science or international relations. I've got no job for the past 4 years just because of the struggle. And in this system, whether state, federal, or international system, you know I have a place. I only need to seal my lips. If I seal my lips, I am already at the top echelon of the society by education, by exposure, and work experience. So if God, faith, work has elevated me to that height, and compassion in me as a son of a pastor, we are taught to know that what you do to humanity is what matters. So I said, despite having the privilege, training by the church, by men of God, by church money, and I'm able to go this far, let me in my own way use this education to better the life of the people, hence choosing to teach and talk for the needy and the oppressed. It's there in my Bible. But now, by the time a slave decides that the chains around his wrist are bracelets, are golden chains, there's nothing you can do. You can't liberate a man who is not ready to liberate himself. So it's akin to, they prefer singing the Lord's song by the river of Babylon. They prefer singing the Lord's song by the Babylonian river of Kaduna State. So let it be. Don't forget, in a democracy, people have the right to be foolish. Foolish, you have the right to be foolish. And if people chose to enjoy their right to be foolish, it's against the principle of a human rights fighter to disrupt People who decided to enjoy their right to be foolish. Let it be. Let them enjoy it. So I know on earth and in the life hereafter, I ran a good race. I kept the faith, and God knows they failed themselves. So that's why I can't. I have got a little time to stay in the world. Everybody is hustling to do what is good for him and good for humanity, for those that are ready to move. I've spent over 40 years of my years on earth. So I cannot continue to struggle in vain or to continue to push for people who don't appreciate anything. So I'm on my own. Let them be on their own. Let everybody carry his cross. And in that process, nobody should cry for any other person. Carry your cross. Carry your cross. We've reached that stage. There's no pretense in this one. Let people carry their cross. Each and every one of us. If we are tired, I can assure you, one day they will refuse those machines, they will refuse those motorcycles, they will refuse those brooms, they will refuse money to vote. They will stand there once it is 12 a.m. at the day of the election. That's 12 midnight here. 1 minute at 12. People will go and begin to queue to wait for when polling units will open at 8. It will reach that stage. It will reach that stage. But we are not there. So they are still comfortable with the system. But I know they can get more than what they are getting now. I know the system ought to give them more than what they is giving them now. I know the actors are corrosive, they are kleptocratic, they are autocratic, and the actors are solipsis. They don't have the love of the common man at heart. I know they can get better than this, but they refuse. So it's okay. I have surrendered.
So my point is, somebody listening to this will say that activists never give up. Those who, it is famously said that those who run away from a fight will live to fight again. Those who fight and run away will live to fight again. And the journey for freedom and emancipation, as you know, is often lonely, disappointing, and sometimes a very frustrating one. Most people who made history through activism had to encounter a lot of hurdles and disappointments, sometimes by the people they are fighting to liberate before they reach their goals. Don't you think that quitting means a win for those who are promulgating injustices?
Well, I accept your take. They are very good talks, what can I say, inspirational speeches. Tough times never last, according to Robespierre, but tough people do. I read The Long Walk of Mandela. I read a lot of writings from Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. I read a lot of writings from Che Guevara. A lot of writings from Mao Zedong. A lot of accounts of Fidel Castro. I read a lot of accounts of Evo Morales. I read a lot of accounts of Zelaya Malaya. I read a lot of accounts of V.I. Lenin, Leon Trotsky, and all those, Kwame Nkrumah, and the rest. But I can assure you, while they were struggling, their people appreciated them. Their people demonstrated their capacity. They want freedom. That's the difference.
Is that something that you see lacking, in your struggle, especially for the people you are representing? Do you think that people don't appreciate you? For instance, in the comments, people are already commenting how you inspire them. So sometimes we may allow the minority to make us feel as if we are not appreciated. I, for one, have never met you one-on-one. Thank God we have been communicating, online and stuff. But I've been following you over the years, and I appreciate the good things that you have been doing. And I know there are thousands of people out there that also appreciate what you're doing. So don't you think it is going to be, for a lack of better word, a somewhat misplacement of priority to major on the few that don't seem to appreciate you, while there are a lot of people that appreciate your work?
Well, in strategic balance. What I did, they call it tactical withdrawal.
They call it what? Say that again.
Tactical withdrawal.
Okay.
Sometimes you withdraw to fight, to assess the journey. All this, maybe I'm yet to invent a good way of connecting. Maybe I'm yet to invent a good way of mobilizing. Maybe I'm yet to find, maybe they are yet to understand that they can get better from the system. Maybe the entire gamut of what is a democracy and what they ought to get, they are not schooled on it. For example, I've been reading comments. Oh, let's thank the governor, let's thank the chairman. He constructed this road for us. You don't thank people for doing their work. Do you thank ATM for releasing your money after slotting in your card? You don't thank people for doing their work. You can only thank that person that executed a project from his own pocket. But this culture of thanking governments for doing projects as if they did it from their own pockets is not it. That's another silly culture that I don't understand. Constructing work or jobs, constructing clinics, providing security is work of government. So for them to perform that, for them to be faithful to those duties or of social contracts, what's so special in thanking? I don't have to thank you for being faithful to the social contract we entered. See, the number one or the quintessential task of every government is protection of lives and property. All other functions are secondary. Let me ask everybody listening or viewing across Africa, is your government discharging that quintessential role of protection of lives and property faithfully? We have ISWA, we have Boko Haram, we have armed banditry, we have kidnappers, we have herdsmen, we have hire killers, and virtually every gamut of insecurity that you can think on earth, we have it. You can equate what is happening in Nigeria to Afghanistan. Some parts of Afghanistan are even safer.
But a lot of Nigerians are concerned about these issues. It's not like people, don't care about what is happening. Every average Nigerian, any reasonable Nigerian is concerned about the rate of insecurity and all the things that are going on in the country. Let me read you what Reverend Joseph Hayab, who I'm sure you know very well, says. He says, never allow the betrayal of one man to make you think others do not appreciate you. And I think that is very important. Talking about your quote unquote threat to stop, activism. There are a lot of people that appreciate the things that you're doing, and I think his words are profound. Do you want to respond to that?
Yes, the Reverend gentleman is a senior man, a spiritual father, a political father. And I can assure you, without people like him especially, you can be very sure some of us, I don't know whether we wouldn't have crossed the border, either through Cameroon, Niger, in the night or anybody. His presence in this country and in Kaduna and in the city has helped some of us. I can take the entire time allocated to this program extolling his good virtues. You will be surprised. You will be surprised. I know you will not be happy to hear this. Even the capacity to go and vote at home, to cast my own single vote during the 2019 election. He abated my even moving from Kaduna to my village. It has reached that level. Not to talk of the logistics he provided. Not to talk of what he too is passing through.
So the point is that there are a lot of people like Reverend Hayab that actually appreciate the things that you are doing, and I want to believe they are in the majority, not the minority. So it's not. Maybe you need to reconsider your resolve. I will encourage you to tweet or to make another Facebook post and say, "Well, that was a tactical withdrawal." You are not because genuine activists like you will never withdraw. They never stop doing what they
Yes,
are.
yes.
All right.
There's nothing anger and there's nothing frustration and the spur of the moment cannot bring. I can assure you, I've got so many calls after that one. I met a woman who stopped me by the fuel station. She said, "No, I read your that I was not happy." I said, What happened, Mama?" She said, "No, our kids are looking up to you. We are looking up to you. If you
That's
surrender,
right. That's right.
these kids are going to suffer." It's
Mm.
difficult when every time I yearn to see your tweet, I yearn to see your update, but that one just spoiled my day because meaning the succeeding generation will suffer. I said,
Mm.
I laughed and I said, okay, Mama is going to be okay. Don't worry. It's tactical withdrawal. We are a old soldier never die.
That's
Even
true.
if you don't, even after that one, having been seeing my tweets again, challenging the
That's true.
system, go
That's
to
true.
my tweet page. You will see picking. You will see my tweet today about 4 tweets picking on the system. It's just a statement of
Okay.
airing frustration or yearning for your people to really also reassess their political behavior. But
Which
there'll
by
be
the way, for all activists, they all have those moments of frustration.
yeah,
It's very
yes.
normal. It's very normal.
You are the religious people, the Reverend Gentleman. You know the dark night of the cross or John of the cross. There are dark moments where nothing adds up, and you look into heaven and you think you've been abandoned. You look into the sea, there is no help. You look into the mountains, like the mountains are melting away. Then it's a the dark moment, the winter of the soul. You know, things don't add up. We've reached that stage. Winter
Hmm.
of this, oh Lord, why is it like this? It's not also with me. My people are being killed. My people are being attacked. My people have been belittled. So many belittle statements. Do what you can do. Who are you? We can do without you. And you've been those statements are being spewed based on religious, ethnic, sectional sentiments. At the end of the day, you look into heaven, you wish that time God descend to tell that person the way he descended and gave David the power to crush Goliath. The way he appeared when the Egyptians were approaching the children of Israel by the Red Sea. You wish that staff of Prophet Moses will be in your hand so that you can just hit the sea and the sea will part into two so that you cross over. You wish all those superfluous miracles.
Hmm.
You wish you speak to God and command such a mouth to seal up, not to speak a word again. Just like Jesus did to the fruit. You barren fig tree, I command thee to dry just now in the name of Jesus. You uncircumcised unbeliever, how dare you talk to the people of God like that, saying that they can't do anything, you can't do without them. You made the earth swallow you. You wish that the power of the God of Elisha is in you, so that you command. But just like I told you, there are dark nights of the moment. Things you think God has abandoned you. You think things don't add up.
Hmm.
But there is light at the end of the tunnel. You don't give up. Tough times never last, but tough people do. Success is never ending, and failure is not final. And
That's
the reveling crowd, the cloud that dominated the sky will soon disappear.
that's
I
true.
know, I know it will come. We shall one day congregate and sing, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I am free at last. The Negro spiritual will be our songs. We shall sing throughout the night and up to daybreak. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Glory be to God. We are free at last. We shall be free. We shall be free. We shall.
I say
We're
amen
not
to
giving
that.
up.
I say amen to that. You may agree with me that one of the major problems of activism in Nigeria is that it lacks good organization. It seems to me like most activists find it difficult to organize themselves together for the purpose of achieving a particular aim. Do you think that this may be probably one of the major reasons why activism hardly yields tangible fruits in Nigeria?
It's just is the minutest problem in a pool of problems enveloping besieging activism in Nigeria. One, it still boils down to low level of awareness in the society. See, you read, I am the chairman of Central Initiative for Development for Fundamental Rights Advocacy. I can assure you, at the beginning of this regime from 2015 to date, the first 3 years, I'm just giving an example, we made conscious effort to publish our own report of the leadership activities of Kaduna State and the federal. We did that from our pockets, printed limited copies, shared it to people. Everybody that read asked for more. Our major problem in this country, activism, is finance. You can't do anything without money. One, I will give you an example of coming on to talk to you. I had to off NEPA light because I'm afraid they will take away light. I have to get where I live, all the networks I'm using, they don't have 4G. I have to get another one that has 4G. I have so many things are in play. I can assure you our major problem is lack of money to execute most of our projects. Like, example, Southern Kaduna. Do you know we've had so many proposals on how to make a world classic documentary on the killings in Southern Kaduna? There's no money to do that one. Our representatives are not ready to make it a project. Our business community are not ready to sponsor. And nobody is forthcoming. I used to have an office, the Central you just called. I packed it up last year. I rented just one room, furnished it, engaged 2 people, paid them for 6 years. At the end of the day, we had to close shop last year. So it's not a lack of organization, it's not lack of courage, it's lack of finances. And since I have my certificate of registration, verifiable, we wrote the embassies. Every issue we used to write embassies, we used to write UN, we used to write we've got no support. And there's a limit to what an individual can do. At the point, I was doing it for my salary from the little business. The business collapsed, not because I can't manage business, but because of the business environment. The salary, the job went. I had no job, and at the end of the day, from those 2 sources, I was sponsoring the activities. So if you don't be surprised if you call me to attend a meeting in Abuja, I don't have the money. I don't have the money to go to Abuja. I don't have the money to accommodate myself there and transport myself back. So how are we going to execute this activism? If I want to organize or sensitize people now on rights, on their rights, what they need to know about a representative is far beyond machine and rights. Okay, I want to go to 6 local governments in Southern Kaduna, organize people, 200 people from different wards, each local government. They will leave their villages to their ward headquarters, maybe from the ward headquarters to local government headquarters. And none of them will spend anything. Some will spend 1,000, some will spend 2,000, some will even spend like that. There are some local governments in Kaduna State, in southern Kaduna, they are nearer to Jos than their local government headquarters, like Kauru. So if I'm in Kauru now, I want to organize in Kauru's town, how am I going to call somebody from Gesheri or Kumana? And if they come, you have to, after feeding, doing everything, you have to transport them back. If you want to use a less expensive avenue of connecting with them, is through the social media. How many are connected? From whatsoever you look at the problems we are facing, lack of this even building or heightening the political consciousness in southern Kaduna, it's all about money. Okay, the whole young men that I enumerated that at least went and submitted themselves to get mandate and they were all rejected. If we come together now and pick up a political party, a registered one, and move on to home to sell ourselves so that we provide the real alternative itself, it's money. How are you going to call people again just the way I told you? You call them for meetings, a political meeting. Who will sell this guinea corn or yam from Bishini, a remote village of local government in Kachia that is closer to Niger State, to come to Kachia town that they have supply over 3 local governments to come and listen to a liberation talk? His own money. And goes back home. And at home, he needs to move to villages, sell that thing. So liberation itself, even if you're staging a communist revolution, a Bolshevik revolution, V.I. Lenin, Leon Trotsky, and the rest, people sponsored it. The Cuban Revolution, people sponsored it. They got a ship, they got the AK-47s, they went to Mexico, trained, sell, and took over the Batista regime in Cuba. The revolution of Mao Zedong in China, the Peasant Revolution, was sponsored. Otherwise, how did people trek? How did they get their guns? How did they get the uniforms? Let's talk of the democratic revolution, the revolution of the ballot box. Let me take you to Salvador Allende of Chile in the 70s. He was the first person who campaigned during the Cold War, a communist manifesto in a country in America close to the leader of capitalist world, Salvador Allende of Chile. He won. People sponsored it. So even a democratic revolution, the ballot box, you can't win election without money. Let's assume that I'm able to talk to people through this medium and other radios, and they are able to vote for me. We have 87 polling units in 87 wards in southern Kaduna. We have thousands of polling units. People will vote for me at the polling unit level. On transmitting the result, you don't transmit the result online. Moving from polling unit to the ward, what they call ward, they can change it. What if I don't have even the person, an agent there? That agent must need a motorcycle from his village to follow the result to the ward headquarters and make sure that it is entered. Let's assume you are only supplying money, only foil money for an agent because people love you like gold. You are very popular like religion. You are very popular like, let me even say, you are as popular as rice on Sunday rice. I'm telling you, if you calculate only logistics, you are talking of hundreds of millions. So whatsoever, it is too expensive. And it's expensive. If it's that expensive, you expect people to be conscious. If people are conscious, it will reduce its expensive nature. And I blame the privileged ones from Southern Kaduna. We have people that can sponsor successfully. All the rep seats in Southern Kaduna can sponsor revolutionaries to win all their seats. We have people that can sponsor a revolutionary senator, not from PDP or APC, I'm saying, even from Labour Party, that can win elections. We have people that can even sponsor gubernatorial elections. Where are they? They are very comfortable. Whenever you cross River Niger to the south to ask for or to discuss about issues of liberation and how you want to put Southern, they will say you have everybody. I will not mention them. They'll begin to mention people that held offices, that held so topmost commands in the military, people that were ministers, people that headed parastatals, that they were number one revenue generating agencies in the country. They will tell you that even if you want 10 billion now in Southern Kaduna, people will bring it, you liberate yourself. So you don't expect us to send money to people that are already rich and they can liberate themselves. So that is our problem. And the third problem is that people don't like the truth. That now I should not tell them that this decision is wrong. For example, making Southern Kaduna a one-party zone, that even if it's a gorilla that is being sponsored by PDP to represent a constituency, they will just go and vote for him. It's the problem of the political structure of making one party your party. So that is why you will not have the best representative. They will go and mess up, knowing fully well that when they come with money, they have only 200 people or 100 people to give them 200,000, in which is not up to 1 month's salary. They will still vote for him to be the flag bearer. And once he's flag bearer of PDP, he's home and dry. That culture has killed us and is killing effective representation. Some of us, we've tried to we killed that structure, that culture. Like in Kachia Kagarko, we refuse. Once you bring a candidate that is not popular, we will fail him. The next party will win. But you have local governments like Zongo, Kav, and they are there. PDP or Highway. That's why, and the representatives, they are knowing that one, they will go. They will fall, they will hide in Kaduna or Abuja and wait until the last day. They will bring money and buy delegates again because they know you will do PDP. But if they know that if they don't give you that your best candidate, you can vote any party, they dare not. So the party that they think is the Southern Kaduna party will make sure that they bring good people. And until we do that, we are in trouble. We're in trouble. You cannot, for example, we gave 600,000 to 700,000 votes. 600,000 votes to Atiku. Those 600,000, almost all the votes came from Southern Kaduna. When Atiku came to thank people, Kaduna said, where did he go? He went to Kaduna North, met Makaripi and the rest, people that couldn't win their police stations, and thanked them. I once told somebody that there is a local government called Makaripi. Why can't you just go and look at the result of that local government? Their gubernatorial candidate is from Kuden. Go and look at the result of Kuden. So now you will be winning from Sanga to Kaduna South. You own the party. You give almost 600,000 votes, 700,000 votes, 800,000 votes. Somebody is in Makaripi who doesn't give anything. But yet, when issues involving Southern Kaduna State PDP are being discussed, a Southern Kaduna man is not there. You are a man who cannot deliver his police unit to his party. Is the one taking decision there in Abuja. Is that not slavery?
Are you saying that Nigerian politics has not transcended this idea of party to candidates? People are voting parties, not really candidates?
Some areas have been able to liberate themselves into voting candidates. We have refused. We ran away from APC, for example, because APC is a caliphate party. APC seems to be more religious party. APC seems to be more Muslim party. It doesn't love us, no what. To what? To PDP, right? We stuck to PDP, even when it was clear PDP was not going anywhere. Now, when you are the man rearing the cow, when we are the pillars of the PDP. So what is stopping us from filling in a candidate because the vote comes from us? The same people saying that let's go for PDP because it's the party we know. When you tell them that, okay, since it's our party, they used to say it's our party. So now why can't we now bring a Southern Kaduna man to try in this our party? Let's give him. We can tell McCarthy, Ashuru, Hunku and the rest, gentlemen, enough. 1999 you brought, 2003 you brought, only once we brought this party is ours, but we produced the gubernatorial candidate only once, and that one time we won. But this same Southern Kaduna politicians of PDP old school would tell that if we put up a candidate, they will use the religion again, we will not win. But we lost in 2000 and what? We lost in 2011. We lost in 2015. We lost in 2019. So history has shown that it is they, Zone 1, that have been losing when we feel them. Yero lost, Ashuru lost. But the only time they gave Southern Kaduna man in total, we won. So why are you telling me if we are giving, we will not win? I mean, I don't understand. This no logic. You tend to, are these brains talking? Where is logic and syllogism? You put in a candidate only once, and you won. They that you think can win, lost twice. So it's about time to say, okay, gentlemen, the last 2 times we gave you, you couldn't deliver. The only time you gave us, we delivered. See, losing is losing. What's the difference between, okay, Ashuru lost, Yero lost. So if Kish or John or Solomon loses, what's the difference? Is it not all defeat? They will also be defeated, and they have been defeated. So why are you making our defeat as if it will end the war? What's the difference? They lost, we got it once, and we won. No argument. So that's why if they are not bringing a serious argument and bringing and giving a Southern Kaduna man, it's going to be trouble. I know you and I will fight that thing because it's enough. You run away from one form of slavery into another form of slavery. We shouldn't be people that are only there to provide votes. If a Southern Kaduna man is given the chance now and is able to garner 900,000 votes, it's more than 3 governors in some states. Winnable votes. People who won with 200,000 plus. And you are giving 900,000 plus to somebody that will still lose. And when you are talking of national politics, they will look at, somebody contested in 2019 and he was able to gather 900,000 votes. Then now from Abuja, people plotting national politics, we will now call Ashirude to talk to him. Okay, let Solomon lose so that he will lose with 900,000 votes. A Yoruba man calculating presidential elections sitting in Lagos will say, in the Northwest, there are a group of 10 local governments. They can produce 900,000 votes. Let's talk to them. You've projected your man and your place into national politics. But you are allowing some people to use your vote, your strength, and play national politics with it. Pure political folly. And I don't know why they are not looking at that thing. We need somebody that can garner 900, 800,000 votes. Let him lose, of course. But I can assure you, next time, when there is a national politics, nobody can forsake an actor that is able to garner 800,000 votes. I'm telling you, wherever the place that last decision is being taken, that Southern Kaduna man will be there. Because we had elections that only the difference between a winner and a loser was just 1.5 million. And if you can give 900,000 votes, don't you think you are bright? So we are sitting on a political gold mine, but we don't know how to use it.
And still talking about, Kaduna State, a lot has been going on in Kaduna State, both positive, I would say, and negative. What are some of the positive things that you have seen happening in the state under the leadership of Governor Nasir El-Rufai or his administration? If any.
You have placed me on a tightrope because I resolve again that whatsoever he did in this second tenure and will do and is doing now is okay by me, because I took time, move around the state, in which you read a lot. And I said, no, don't vote for Nasiru El-Rufai. Majority, 1 point something million people, he got even more than Buhari, voted for him. As a Democrat, after doing my part, I accepted that reality. Now, back to your question. There is much good in the worst of us. There is much bad in the best of us. Meaning, he has his strength and weaknesses.
Yeah, we'll talk about the weaknesses. What are some of his strengths? Especially some of the things he has done.
If you come to Kaduna now, if you live in Kaduna North, some part of Kaduna South, some part of Igabi, you will see massive transformation. Example, the expansion of the road between what we call the police junction, the police runabout to Gamji Gate, the expansion of Alikali Road, the expansion of Isa Keita Road, the expansion of so many roads like that in Kaduna South, in Kaduna North. Let's say the road, the dualization of Igabi Road, the Irigasa Road, from so many roads. Truly, that has happened.
Okay.
And even in Barnau here, there's an expansion of the road here between what you call the mobile barracks, and he wants to link it up. And I was told there's a bridge going, construction of a bridge. Now the third bridge in Barnau that will link Kabbalah Costin. Again, I was told again that they are starting the new side, and the new side is up of Kaduna University. Again, if you go to the Junction Bridge, the Cow Junction Mando and the rest, there's a fantastic overhead bridge there. There is going very long, world class. That's why he has done them. And I've not gone to some local governments, Zaria City. There are some like that and the rest. That one, I give it to him. Another one is production of recruitment of young people into politics and act of governance. He has produced a crop of young people that at the end of the day, no matter what, if it were PDP, it's not going to be possible. All the commissioners look at them, they are young people. Young people that in PDP, they wouldn't have even given them opportunity to be councillors. Look at the local government chairman. Kagarko, young man. Kaduna North, almost everywhere there are young people in their 30s, early 40s. But we were here in Kaduna, so when during PDP's time, there was a time people at 70s, retired PAMSEX were local government chairman. And now, let's assume that, okay, I have a PhD, yes. Teaching experience, yes. NGO, human, yes. But there you have, okay, let's say an average of first degree. But now maybe he has been commissioned in 3 ministries. He has controlled one agency or the other. At the end of the day, let's say that there's an opening at the federal. They are not going to look at my PhD. They are going to look at responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
So on that, he is building more tomorrow's leader. He has built more tomorrow leaders more than the whole of the years the PDP did.
That's
PDP
great.
is operating a gerontocratic setting in Kaduna State. Take a look at committees released by the present chairman, Reconciliation Committee and Committee on Road Fraud. Same old names, one former minister, one former governor, one former local, all in their 60s, 70s. Now they are to draw a road map, an analog setting in a .com period. I used to have a series, Thinking and Acting the Old Way. He brought them back now that somebody in his mid-70s should come and chart the course of PDP in Kaduna State, 21st century. Somebody without an email address, somebody without a Twitter handle, somebody that cannot on a Mac and talk in 5 minutes without sleeping, tired and worn out. They are now to chart the cost. How will the teeming youth now see themselves in that kind of product? A product of 77 years, 60 years, 65 years cannot reflect the reality of 30, a product of kids of 30, 40s, 20s, 18 that constitute the majority. APC seems to connect to that group more than PDP. And Nasir has done such. So, we don't agree, but you have to give it to him.
That is so good of you. I intentionally asked that question because humans naturally have the tendency that when you are in the opposition, you don't see people who say that he has done nothing good. But just as you said, I really thank you for doing that. Let's talk about
another point. He appreciates intellect.
Okay.
He appreciates intellect. If you are capable anywhere you are, he can bring you up. That's another thing. The others do not appreciate that one. Making analysis is an offense. To even have education is an offense in some with other cream of players. Okay, sorry, let's go.
So let's talk about some of the negatives. What are some of the things that you wish you don't like with his administration, and you wish to see change or improve under the Rufai administration? This may probably take the entire may take you days to talk about it.
No. He's an open page. Madam Nasir is an open book. You don't even need to say much about him. He's a known person. He has been in public life for long now. People have read his books, interviews. They have seen him in action in Abuja, BPE. They have seen him in action for almost 6 years here now. So, in fact, the first question, it's more interesting than this later one. He is known. One, for example, to me, sometimes he finds it hard to listen to the other view. One. Two, he doesn't listen. He easily believes that voice of dissent are not opposition, are enemies, they are foes. He has those tendencies. Three, he knows, but he may be consciously refusing to understand that Kaduna State is a bit complex. People that made the decision of bringing a commissioner from every local government, there's a wisdom in it. People that made the decision of creating districts, chiefdoms, there's a wisdom in it. People that made the decision of creating advisors, there's a wisdom in it. So this issue of reducing the size of the cabinet or appointing 3 or 4 commissioners in one local government while others don't serve, it doesn't resonate well with people. No political balance. Because the major preoccupation of each government is security. Next is happiness. No matter how fantastic, you don't approach government from a business point of view. If I appoint commissioner from each local government, we are going to spend more money. No, but he's paying commissioners now 6 times more than the former commissioner. He's paying his aides now 6 times more than the former aides. So what he's paying now, the same of our head cost is run away from. If he had maintained the former structure, he will even have excess money kept. For example, a senior special assistant that time earns only 40,000, but none of his aides gets less than 200,000. So you see, one of his aides, the salaries of one now can pay 4 or 5, and people want to be happy. So if that will make people happy, why not slash it to that amount so that people will be happy? They cool tension. If there is tension in the village and they have at least an advisor or a counselor there, you can talk peace and peace will resume. That is like, if I were him, I would have looked at that aspect. But All other issues, I'm telling you, I don't need to belabor the fact. I don't need to waste time going into it. He's an open page. People knows him. People are quite aware of what his strengths and weaknesses. I rather to tell you that I'm a Christian. I don't have what transpired between. I have put it behind. Can't you see my hair is all dark because I don't sleep with pressure. Those who saw me for the last 10 years, they said, you don't change. I said, I don't change because I don't sleep with problems. Yes, I've been jailed. Yes, I lost a job. Yes, the patron is no longer there. But I refuse to sleep with all those tribulations. So they say, I'm always, who am I? And that's why I can be able to be open-minded to tell you some of the good aspects. What I saw, what I enumerated, is it like no matter how I hate him, the roads are there. To say that they are concentrated in one local is another thing. It's another kettle of fish. Of course, if you ask me, I said, no, this expansion, you should have just split them to all local governments so that the mayor will go around. To me, because it's the money that either loan or through IGR or subvention is for all of us. So 1 or 2 local governments should not look like London, while the others are there like what you call the hinterland. To me, but I sent somebody from Kachia to Kaduna State House Assembly to check those things. He went through the budget. He couldn't ask, where is mine? Kagoroko people sent somebody there. He checked, passed this budget for this route in Kaduna North. Jamas people, they have a person there who went to saw this project, passed them without asking, where are mine? I have a road in Aso from Fadankagoma to Aso. Please, instead of doing them all here, I need one part of it there. People's representatives refuse to talk. And the roads are there. Who am I to say no? If they are not happy, they have 2 years to go. If people of Kachia are not happy, if people of Kagarko are not happy with their representative, that they sent to Lugadwol, who passed budgets without seeing the geography of where the budgets have been cited, they know how to call him back home. In as much as they're not ready to do that, I'll continue to drive and enjoy those roads too. I live in the city. Case closed.
I think that is an objective, analysis from you, and I thank you for that. What do you make of the incessant cases of herdsmen attacks in southern Kaduna, and how can these conflicts be amicably resolved?
Well, I can assure you, when I say government, I'm not saying I'm not speaking of Kaduna State government to be specific. This problem is more with the federal government. I can assure you that. There's no way we can continue to maintain a culture that has been discarded over the years. Research after research has shown that wandering with cattle is not the best. You don't get the best of them. So federal government ought to come clearly. They have federal reserves. Either give them loans or work out a way that these Fulani men will access these loans, buy their lands, set up their ranches, and live in peace. The government is refusing to face that issue squarely and objectively. You cannot be encouraging them that you want to create Ruga, you want to create this, you want to create this from a land that is collectively owned. But a farmer will buy his farm. A person rearing pigs will buy his land and keep pigs. A poultry man doing poultry will do that. But you single out one out of the family of farmers and favor him. You want him to get land, government land, free. You want to provide every facility. And you are not ready to provide same facility to a man farming pigs, a man farming dogs, a man farming a man keeping chicken or poultry. It's a problem. Or a man farming ginger. So it's government. It's not a Kaduna state, but it's a federal government policy. Once they ban this wandering and stop it and open a system whereby these people can access loan just like any other farmer, go and assist loan, go and buy land and keep your cows there. Go and access loan and import Brazilian grass, do the grassing. Your cows will be fatter, they will get more milk and all whatnot. They said no, the government is not ready to stop a culture that has been stopped in Brazil, stopped everywhere. Do you think is it Nigeria that will have farmers and cattle people along? Yoweri Museveni is a farmer. The Tutsis do keep cattle. The Zulus, they are all over Africa and Europe. There are people doing this. Honduras, but they have agreed that flying them all around is not the best. So people made efforts. Sell your 2, 3, 5 cows, buy a land, fence it, sell another 2, 3, 4 cows, import their grass, water it, give them. Problem is gone. Because a ginger farmer is not also wandering. A pig farmer is not also wandering. A goat farmer is not also wandering. Why should one set of farmers only, out of families of farmers, be allowed to be wandering, killing people? I don't want to even talk as regard it's not a Southern Kaduna matter. It's a general madness that ought to stop. But do you have leaders with the liver to do that? And if you don't do that, there will be problems. If you think it's only Southern Kaduna, why are Zamfara people paying money to farm, paying money to them to harvest? There are more Fulani herdsmen clashes, more in northwestern states and all over than even Southern Kaduna. Let me tell you. Ours seems to be mysterious because these are people who don't even have them within you. There are only a few. The ones we know, they are still there. But people are coming, killing people in the night. They are not herdsmen. I don't agree. Killers. Hired to kill people. And because we have a lot of ungoverned spaces, the whole of Nigeria is becoming an ungoverned space. Nobody's governing them. It's becoming a gangster paradise. That's what you're having this thing.
Will you accept a political appointment to work in Governor El Rufai's administration?
No. Already,
Why not?
he has only 2 years to go. And I can only become, the least is a commissioner. And I'm not sure there is a space now. He has crafted the size of his government. And people that are there now are doing wonderfully well. They are doing
Let's
very
assume there
well.
is space and he calls you, despite everything that has happened.
I will beg him to give me a teaching appointment in University of Abuja or University of Jos. I will beg him to talk to the farmer, to Minister of Education, to return me back to the classroom. If he's able to do that, I will be more pleased. I want to be a prof now. I ought to tell you I ought to be an associate, if not because of this problem. So I'm eager to go back to the class. But all the universities have been poisoned. That if you take him, you are taking trouble. And they tend to forget that what we teach, you cannot afford not to be critical. Example, public policy analysis. If I am to teach students now, and I want to inculcate or incorporate COVID-19 palliatives as a public policy, primary school feeding as a public policy, for goodness sake, even if I was not born in the house of a pastor, how can I tell them that those policies are sincere? How can I tell them that those policies do not have ulterior and sinister and criminal motives? How can people be in a lockdown? Nobody was going out. And a government will tell you that they spent over 300 billions. I don't even want to quote billions in feeding kids at home. In a lockdown. In a lockdown. In a lockdown 3 times. And the house I'm living, there are kids. The area I'm living is a very poor community that if there are people, if there are kids that need food, it's in Romi, it's in Gweningora, it's in television. And I've asked people from my church, asked people from the neighborhood, asked people in the villages. Nobody saw anybody with a federal government letter back in the name of kids feeding during the closing. If I'm teaching now, you want me to say that program was ambitious, was fantastic? If I'm teaching public policy analysis and I want to conduct this experiment on school feeding, in which there were clashes between figures between state and federal government, for goodness sake, where were they fed? When were they fed? Of all the primary schools, which primary school has a borehole that kids will wash their hands before eating? And you know how they play, and you saw how they sit in dust. Who certified the food vendor, the quality of the food and the sanitary something that these kids were being fed? Who certified them?
It's true that it's all.
And you want me on teaching. So on teaching students, you want me to now tell all is fine. Lastly, if I'm teaching them comparative federalism, you live in America. The American experience, the Russian experience, the comparative federalism. Kaduna State and Katsina State were balkanized in 1987. Katsina went with 7 local government, left Kaduna with 7 local government. Today, Katsina went with less population, less land mass. Today, they have 34 local governments. Kaduna, that has more land, more people, they have 23 local governments. Lagos and Kano, they have almost the same population. Kano now have 44 local governments. Lagos still have 22. Niger is the largest state, followed by Taraba. This Kano you are talking, they are almost number 8. Even Kaduna is more than them in land mass. How did they get 44 local governments? So if I'm teaching comparative federalism, how will I say that these structures are okay? We have 6 geographical zones. Only the southeast that it has only 4 states. Why? Why are other having 6, 7? So why condensing the entire Igbo race in 4 states? So if I'm teaching comparative federalism, you mean I will not criticize the structures? So what I teach naturally will make me have problems with power that's be, because I cannot mold students. I cannot clone dumps. At the end of the day, they'll just get their certificates and go. And when you go, the quality of analysis is not there. They are not actually not ready. They are just clones. You fed them with a education that is not critical in thinking. So that's why wherever you take me, there will be trouble because of what I teach. But somebody teaching biology, somebody teaching chemicals or dealing with them, but he has nothing to do with public policy. He will be at peace. He will be a prof. He will be everything. He will enjoy it. But me, I'll be critical. So that's why there will be trouble.
I know that is objectivity is part of the academic profession. Let's talk a little bit about Nigeria. A lot has been going on in Nigeria in the past few years. For instance, there are cases of insecurity which are on the rising on daily basis. No place in Nigeria feels secure at the moment because of rampant cases of banditry, kidnappings, conflicts, and ethno-religious violence. And on top of all this, most Nigerians are facing untold hardships because of poverty and hunger. The NSAS protests were, among other things, a clarion call for good and responsible governance. Do you
Yeah.
support the ideology of the NSAS protests? And if you do you think the government has succeeded in quelling the spirit behind the protest?
I believe and I support it, and I went out and protested during the NSAS protest. Because I know I have seen police brutality firsthand, and I've read a lot extrajudicial actions by the police. I supported it. But you see, I believe government have succeeded in quelling them. Whenever and wherever government says that government form committee, once there's a committee or commission inquiry, that is the best weapon government have used, Nigerian government do use to kill any agenda. Any agenda in this country that ends with forming a committee, that is the end. I can assure you now they have blackmailed the activists in the sense that a committee is still working. They are working at the state level. They are working everywhere. So why do you want to protest again? They told you if you have any complaint, go and table it, go and appear before the committee. I'm telling you, you hardly can see any serious protest again. That aside, that thing has been defeated already through committee. Committee is a lethal weapon in Nigeria. Let's go back to security. The number one function of a state is protection of life and property. And it is a common saying that once a government is unable to discharge its number one function, that government ought not to exist for 1 second. It gets no business to stay. And I can assure you, you don't need wisdom of King Solomon, courage of King David, or the sagacity of Socrates to know that government has failed in discharging that duty. But the political system and the political climate and the behavior of people is enabling them indirectly. I have seen whereby people came out and protested against insecurity in a part of the country. And I've seen counter protests in another part of the country. I've seen protests in the south against SARS. I've seen a pro-government protest in Kasida. Kasina, that the same state governor that said that about 30 local governments under the control of the armed bandits. So in such a confused political setting, where people don't even know what is good for them, how can you tell me that people protesting against us are protesting against Buhari's government? Or they don't want Buhari? So it's difficult. Or northern governors coming together to tell you that they like SARS. South are saying no. Then a whole Nigeria is a political Babel. Each session is singing the tune of his house. And until we agree and come together and restructure, to me, even a referendum, we are not going anywhere. We are not going anywhere. We have to restructure. You cannot take money from Niger Delta, where environment is being spilled, where they are degrading the environment. You are not contributing anything. And at the end of the month, a governor is just sitting in another state. He will just see an alert, or he send his accountant general to go for a monthly meeting. Money is in his account. After paying salary, he's got nothing to do. The money is not from there. Then he begin to organize a mass wedding. How is mass wedding an agenda? How can that be government function in this 21st century? And look at where the money is from. And look at what is being used elsewhere. The great environment somewhere, and money hits your house, and you get mass wedding. Which government has problem with the wedding, organizing weddings again? And you guess what? You dare not say this. You were accused of religious bias. You were accused of trying to incite. But is there any truth more than this? Tell me where government has done all the necessary functions and is in excess of time and energy and resources, is now sinking those excess and wasted resources into mass wedding. A state that you have 3 million, again, the same governor, that there are 3 on school kids roaming the street. So it's not mopping out that the kids from the street, that will constitute a problem. There will be a waiting army of the insurgents. He's not thinking of mopping them out the street, taking them to the classroom. He's thinking of flushing women into people's bedroom. That is an agenda. So that they will give birth again and act up to the number of the kids on street. Why you asking about Nigeria? It's a failed project. It's a failed project. Nigeria is a failed project. The 1914 amalgamation was the greatest undoing of Europeans. You can't just amalgamate people without their consent. You live in the US. It's a perfect example of a federal system in a post-Napoleonic state system. The 12 original colonies discussed for years on how we are to sit. You are Texas. You are Big Wo. We are coming together. I am Arkansas. I don't want to come in as a junior partner. I want to come in as equal partner into this. Hence what? Equality of representation at the national, at the Senate level. No, California, we are large. Democracy about representing heads. So Arkansas, you are just 3 million. So I am 40-something million. Okay, you have been settled. At the House of Reps, you will have more representatives. Case settled. And at the end, what happened? They brought out a document of 12 pages. 12 pages, which lasted over 240 years now. But Lord Lugano and Co. just brought people because of their political interest to save money and brought people together without their consent. Up initial, who told them we want to live together as a country? Let alone fashioning how we are going to live. We are different. God knows we are not one. We are only blacks. We are not one. The cultures are different. The civilization is different. Everything is different. So you can't be bringing people so different like that into one basket without them imputing.
Yeah, despite differences, I mean, in every country you go in the world, there are differences, there are diversities, but people have learned to live together. Don't you think Nigerians can learn to live together despite our differences?
They learn to live together because before coming together, they sat and ironed out how they will live together. It is the differences and the willingness to live together that force or propel people to sit down. There is no federalism that will succeed if people don't sit down before federating to agree on how to sit. Your religion, your culture permits 2 wives, 4 wives. Your culture, your religion permits only 1. Your culture does not forbid drinking. Your culture forbids drinking. We are coming together. So how are we going to harmonize this thing? Okay, now we are one. But whenever you move into zone B, where beer and pork is not accepted, you should know that laws of Nigeria, federal laws, don't exist here. Let it be in the book. And while posting example like NYC, then you don't pick a kid from where his country he grown, he takes his wine, he eats his pork, to an area where they don't. We can easily live together. Let's come and agree on those things. If you are exploiting these resources from my area, I'm only giving a percentage for the federal upkeep. I'll keep it. I'll establish breweries. I'll establish pork processing companies. I will establish dog farms. So whenever you are living in an area where if you are marching into that state, you know that if I'm drinking even a box next to you, you don't have to frown until you sit. If you don't sit and continue to oppress this constitution, where the military just package something to us with so many lacunas, we are going to have problems. Also, when Sharia was
But we have also written we have constitution that was drafted by Nigerians, not by the British, and we have been living together for 100 years since the amalgamation.
People never fashioned constitution. The military or the colonial masters have always imposed this constitution on the people. Abu Bakr Abdul Salam took over. It was just 9 months. It was the constitution of Abacha that he just glimpsed it and brought it. And okay, check your constitution. Look at the big lie there. We, the people in Nigeria, sat and gave our upset this constitution. For Kude, you are a man of God, a man of faith. When did we sit? Who sat? Juntas sat. They were not elected. They took power by force. And less than 15 of them sat and commissioned people, some people got the constitution and gave us a first constitution. But the first paragraph, we the people were. So a constitution started with a big lie. So how can that constitution even be responsible? And how can that constitution produce a credible leader? A constitution that started, its pillars were cast by a big fat lie. We the people have given ourselves this. Nobody, military gave us that constitution. That's why the constitution is full of lacunas. So the constitution, a state can just go if he wants, just stop a truck, and if it's a truck full of beer, they can just destroy it through a state whatsoever you want. But if it were a constitution given by people, I can assure you, state cannot just do what they want. You can't take money from somewhere that they degraded the environment and organize for mass wedding. You cannot. A constitution given by Nigerians will ask, why is Kano 44 local government with equal population in Lagos and they are having 22? A constitution, a real constitution, a conference that people send their representatives will ask, why is Katsina that left in 1987 with 7 local governments with less landmark, less population than Kaduna State, but they are having 34 local governments? How can you even believe that people gave themselves that constitution? And you mean our representative will just go and fall and agree? People will ask questions about such structures. But criminals or people who don't have a good intention that gave us this constitution will not allow restructuring. Because people will ask serious questions. They will ask, you have to tell them how Katsina got for the 34. So is that meeting that they don't want? And you have to tell me why you have to match Zongo Kata with Jabba for 1 reps, for example, and you have only Soba, 1 local government producing 1, and you have Jamaa that is as big as how many local government in the north. You have to match Jamaa with Sanga to get 1 rep. Ama, you are having a local government like Sabongari going 1. Man, you said we gave ourselves this constitution. Who represented Southern Kaduna in that constitution and couldn't ask these German questions? Who represented Igbos that will just agree that they will just be confined in 4 states while others are 6 and 7? Igbos. Who represented Niger Delta that agree only 13% will go to them? They that were yearning for 100%, only giving 5% to state, and you said they gave them, and their representative will be there. There will be no crisis. So we, the people, gave ourselves this constitution. Big fat lie. Country that started with a lie will not go well. So that's why everything is not good. No institution, democratic institution is functioning because on itself, all the pillars, all the legs were on a big fat lie called the 1999 Constitution.
As we try to wrap it up, I want to switch gears to talk about something that is a little bit personal. You look like a serious man, and I believe you are. Somebody may be wondering, do you have time for fun at all? And if so, what do you do for fun?
Yep. I travel a lot. Fun. 1. 2, I watch football.
Okay.
So much. If you see me by TV, mostly it's football. So I unwind and I love shopping.
Oh, that's
So those
a
are
bit
the little fun. And I catch, and out of my phone, another way, you see, this is good for young people. All the films you are watching, they are there in books. You can tell your faculty mentality. As you read books, you'll be casting what you are reading in books in a mental film. It's better. One. Secondly, Nigerians will be surprised. I don't watch local TV stations. I watch Fox News, I watch CNN, I watch MSNBC. Ask me why. I cannot watch lies. Channels or AIT will just meet a lumpen proletariat in Abuja. And in the morning, you will just on the TV, you see him that he is an economic expert. And that's all. But when you open CNN, example.
But talking about channels and AIT, you have been featured in some of these local TV stations for interviews.
I've stopped it. I have been called over and over. My last was in 2017 when I realized they are not serious. If I open my TV today, example, issues regarding economy, and they place an advert just like the one you place on me, that Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, Charles Suludo, Jim Ovi will take 1 hour of our time to discuss economic matters. Okonjo Iweala, I will do. Insecurity has been the problem in this country. When have you seen a retired GOC, a retired commissioner of police, a retired chief of army? When have you seen him as a guest? And who are to discuss security matters more? Because they have been involved in the administrative and physical security management. So just for me to open and see somebody in Abuja that I know, that it doesn't even work. And next thing you introduce a security analyst. But I have seen John Brennan. I have seen Robert Gates. I have seen so many experts that the whole world, Allied Commander, Supreme Allied Commander, discussing. The man now to even investigate the leak in the failure in Capitol, something on the 6th, is the Lieutenant General. You will just invest that aspect of failure, that's to secure the Capitol. So if I own my TV, I want to see people who are expert in fields discussing. They don't want to pay guests. An expert in foreign policy, former ambassador, they will know they don't want to pay him money to fly to Abuja and accommodate so that he will educate people. Everybody keep picking people from Abuja who don't have any job. They're wanderers. So I'm too big for that one. I'd never watch them. I'd rather watch people that will talk geopolitics, serious political issues, world environmentalists, but not go and watch Comrade Wani, human rights activists, what, not pure bullshit. There is an aspect. Can't you see them only bashing Buhari? I have a problem with my comrades in Nigeria. Is it Buhari? Are you not from a state? Which state is working? You are from Lagos. You are not talking. Lagos have not been able to liberate themselves for how many years? They are Tinubu's property. You are from Odo. You are from Oyo. They prefer it's Buhari that is the problem. Your state governor is doing worse. You are from Abia. Why are you not seeing? Even the senior strugglers. When have you seen his OB or Zekwele? Is she not from the state? Is she not from the state? Are there areas where there is failure like Southeast? Where are the roads? What are the governors doing? They will not devote their time there because they are afraid. There's no any serious comrade. A comment from Kogi, you hardly not talk of Kogi. It's just wasting, for example, wasting his time in Abuja. You will not talk of the rascality going in Kogi. So most of them are afraid. I live in Kaduna. I have been talking about my governor. I've been talking about my local government. I've been talking about my senator. I've been talking about, and I live in Kaduna. They know my street. That's a comrade. You don't live home where there are problems and you are only focusing because Buhari is far. I have a problem. That's why I've stopped any, or you will not see me participate in any of their team. They are not sincere. Because it starts at home. If you are in Abia, tell us what is happening there. There are so many failures there. They should occupy, we should know. But they prefer wasting their time. Hey, Buhari, because they know they are afraid. If an Abia governor will knock at their door and bundle them. Fake.
You are an avid and voracious reader of books and also an erudite writer. One of your New Year resolutions is to read and write for 8 hours daily. Talk to me a little bit as we try to wrap up. Talk to me a little bit about why this discipline is important for you, and what kinds of literature do you enjoy reading most?
Yes. So now that I'm through with piling degrees, I've got my highest degree in my field, terminal degree. I no longer read except in the issue of writing papers. I read memoirs, books by leaders. I read a lot of memoirs. There's virtually nobody that was in the place of authority in US that I don't have it. My books can buy me a car of 15 million. My books only, the library. It was in the library that I was trying to talk to you. Then you said the one. On my resolution, you'll be surprised. We're in the second week, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've written 1.5 paper now. I wrote COVID-19, the global COVID-19 pandemics, the effect of COVID-19 pandemics in aviation, a global perspective, the effect on global aviation. I'm through that paper and it will soon be published. I wrote around COVID-19 and aviation. That's the second one. That one is related to Nigeria, prospect and challenges. That's another one. And another one, that the third one that I'll write now, first week of February, is the 2020 US presidential election. That then a full column, then a narration of the institutional strength in sustaining their democracy. How the institutions, the strength of the institutions made them to survive that coup. So I'm going to talk of how an incumbent was unable to change even state results, went to court, even the judges that they appointed disappointed him, even at the end supported an insurrection, but it was quelled. The institution stood, came back, verified, and at the same time even impeached him. Those institutions are strong. Without them, a powerful man emerged. But I want to now study how those American institutions sustain their democracy, and the need for us to see how our reps, our courts, which are also democratic institutions, how they can be strong and overpower strong men. That's right. And I'll write a lot about Putin's policy in Syria, about their own referendum, the referendum in Yugoslavia and the referendum in Ukraine. I want to compare the two referendums. The West supported that of Yugoslavia, Russia against it. Then when Russia again got a soft spot, the Crimean referendum, Russia supported and the West were against it. So I want to also analyze the great powers, how its interest that propels what they do abroad, not any morality. I will surely write nothing less than 30 academic papers this year. God's willing.
Wow, that's a lot. Well, what a good way to wrap this up. Thank you so much. It's been mind-boggling. It's been enlightening and illuminating to have you on the program today. I want to take this time to thank you and to also reiterate the fact that you have been an inspiration to many people, just like we had the conversation here, and many people commented in that regard. So just keep doing what you're doing and keep being you, and don't allow the discouragements and what have you to stop you from being who you are. We'll continue to have these conversations maybe behind the scenes, and just to know just to let you know that many people are inspired by all the things that you have been doing. And for all of you that participated and contributed to today's program, I want to say a special thank you to you. I will be coming with another guest within the week. Until I come your way next time with another guest, interesting guest, I believe. I'll say remain blessed. Any final words?
Thank you so much. And I hope we've been able to walk around so many issues, and I hope minds have been able to expose to realities. I wish you a totally terrific moment, and God bless.
Thank you so much, and bye for now.